Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a really good show for you today, especially if you or someone you know suffers from multiple sclerosis. There are ways that you can take control of this disease, and they are very effective, and you probably won't hear about them as a rule through the medical orthodoxy, but that's okay. You have Superhuman Radio to turn to. Before we get started, we want to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. EatLegendary.com. Use the code SHR10 not just to save 10% off, but to let them know that you learned about them here on Superhuman Radio. And you'll thank me if you've never heard of Legendary Foods before. If you're a low carb, high protein, keto kind of person, you like desserts that don't necessarily have a lot of sugar in them, and also don't have a lot of other stuff, let's just say, that you want to stay away from, Legendary Foods is the place to go. Besides their amazing nut butters, which I eat with a spoon as a dessert item, they have a product called a Tasty Pastry that is basically a Pop-Tart. High protein, either 0 or less than 1 gram of sugar, gluten-free, great stuff. And they just introduced a brand new flavor that I can't get enough of, and that is Hot Fudge Sundae. These are amazing. People are buying them by the case. Kids are eating them and thinking that they're crap, but they're not. Don't tell them. Let them eat it. They don't have to know. Be our secret. EatLegendary.com. Use the code SHR10 for 10% off. You'll thank me later. And without further delay, we will bring my guest on. Turn down some audio. There we go. Dr. Michaël Friedman, how are you?
Good.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, let's talk about your story, first of all. Unlike most people who write books, you've actually suffered from multiple sclerosis. When did it start? Tell the audience about your journey, let's say.
Well, I think it probably started when I was in high school. But when I got diagnosed, it took a long time to get diagnosed. And me, like a lot of other patients, you go through the whole medical system, and people don't really put it all together for a while until they start figuring out that you have MS. So about 12 years ago or so, I was driving on the wrong side of the road. And so I went to the neurologist and said, I'm just driving on the wrong side of the road. My wife asked me why I'm driving on the wrong side of the road. And I said, I don't know why. So I made an appointment. And he said, oh, you probably just have anxiety. Nothing.
Wait a minute. So disorientation is now a symptom of anxiety? That's I know a lot of people who have bad high anxiety. I've never heard of them driving on the wrong side of the road. That's fascinating to me. I'll just let that one go.
So yes, he didn't really quite believe me, but he said, well, just in case, I'll do a MRI. And I did have one other symptom developing at the time where I bent my neck. I started feeling electric shocks going down my spine.
Mm.
So he's like, okay, well, because you have that, we'll consider ordering an MRI, but you're way too young to have any cognitive symptoms, even from any of the neurological problems. So you're probably just worried about having cognitive problems. So he did an MRI, and he called me up like a couple days later and right after the MRI and said, just want to tell you on the phone to be mentally prepared that it looks like you got multiple sclerosis. So I went in, and he's like, yeah, you got multiple sclerosis. And he said, honestly, I was really surprised. You have lots of lesions in your brain and your spine. So So he sent me to a MS neurologist, which all he treats is MS. And I went to the MS neurologist, and he'd been practicing for over 40 years. And he said he had never seen anyone in 40 years of practice who had so many lesions upon diagnosis. And he said it was really like a galaxy of lesions. He said, I couldn't even count them. I had so many in the spine. And he was really surprised that I could have so many lesions upon diagnosis. And I said, well, I've complained to doctors about symptoms, but they never really always believed me, And but he was really surprised. He's like, this couldn't be 6 months or a year of lesions. This could easily be decades of lesions you have here. And then he recommended me to be on a drug called Copaxone. And I was like, I'm going to just treat it myself. I'm not going to take the Copaxone.
Now, wait. Were you a naturopathic doctor at this point in time?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. Go
and
ahead.
I treated a lot of autoimmune disease, especially autoimmune thyroid disease. So I felt like, well, I treat autoimmune thyroid disease. I'll treat it naturopathically. So I'll do.
Wait. Hold on, because I'm not fascinated by that, because I know, as many people who are on the bleeding edge of these types of diseases knows, that there is an autoimmune component to it. Did your neurologist ever discuss diet and autoimmunity with you at all?
No, he didn't discuss diet or autoimmunity, anything. He just recommended a drug, and so then I was like, okay, well, I'll just do what I treat for my thyroid patients. I'll do food allergy testing. I'll take high doses of vitamin D3 and work on diet. And then I did a heavy metal test, make sure to take out my heavy metals with DMSA and general kind of naturopathic principles and autoimmune, and work with the diet. And then a year later, I got a really bad MS attack, and it was I barely could use my fingers. I couldn't play piano. It was hard to it was hard to.
Was it over one day? I'm sorry I keep interrupting you, but this is a fascinating discussion. I want to make sure the audience gets every morsel that they can from this.
Thank you.
So, was it like I went to sleep and I was fine? I woke up the next morning and I couldn't move my fingers?
It was pretty fast. It wasn't that fast, but I would say over a period of week, first of all, I got really confused. I was calling up my neurologist saying, I'm just getting so confused. I'm having a hard time using the telephone. And then a couple days later, I'm like, it's hard to use my fingers. And a couple days later, I'm like, it's really hard to use my arms. And then I'm like, so I go back to the doctor, and I'm like, I really can't even think. And then, so then he's like, well, you didn't do what I said. You got to go on the drug. So I did all the naturopathic things, which I thought of, and it would be enough, but it really wasn't. I was really humbled by it. I kind of came back and I was like, okay, I'll take the drug. And so I took the drug. So it was kind of like an adventure, like I'd try this, I'd try that. I did the, in MS, men tend to, there's a lot of different symptoms, which makes a worse prognosis. So when I got diagnosed, the three things which gives you a worse prognosis, one is if you have a brainstem lesion, and I did. If you're a man, that's the second one. And if you get diagnosed in your 40s, those are the three things which give you poor prognosis. I was like, oh man, I got 3 out of 3. So I took the drug, and then I'm like, okay, I got to take this really seriously, because I'm taking this drug and I still don't feel really that good. I can't really feel it. I don't really say I feel any better on it. But I think it helped. I think it did help. It was a peptide, actually. Copaxone is a peptide. It's the only FDA-approved peptide made out of similar to myelin sheath. And I used it, but I still didn't feel I didn't feel good on it. So, and I don't think it was a side effect of the drug. I was just still had a lot of cognitive problems, still had a lot of
this was injectable, or this was an oral?
It was a daily injectable.
Okay.
Of a peptide.
Right.
And, so I did that. And then I just started trying other things as well. And I started looking like, look at glutathione, which is one of the great antioxidants of the body, and how to maximize that. And I had low levels of it. So, I took, glutathione injections. I just started doing all the basic stuff as before. See, before when I started with a Copaxone, before that I was doing what was called the SWANK diet for MS, which was what a neurologist recommended way back. And he was recommending a low saturated fat diet. That didn't work for me. And it makes sense because the brain is made out of saturated fatty acids. So going on a low saturated fatty acid, I just kept on getting worse and my MRI got worse. So I started doing the opposite and I started eating a lot of fat.
Did you do an almost ketogenic diet, or did you do a frank ketogenic diet where 60% of your diet was fat and very little carbohydrates at all?
I try to. I mean, I wasn't like super like scientific about it, but I would try to have like a smoothie every day with lots of berries. I watched Terry Wahls. Lots of coconut fat and a lot of coconut milk, low sugar, lots of polyphenols and lots of berries. Right. And I think it really helped. I felt like eating lots of vegetables and limiting pastries and all that, and just really, it was more closer to a keto diet. But it wasn't.
And I stole what I'm about to say from a brilliant man named Ron Penna, but it's not what you start to eat; it's what you stop eating that has the greatest impact on dietary related disease states. Mm-hmm. So, what were you eating a lot of at the time of your diagnosis, and what did you cut out?
Well, for me, the worst thing, which I just did digest well, is beans and lentils. So cutting out beans and lentils, and I think that was for me because I just made me really gassy, But eating more, I'm a naturopath, so we eat pretty healthy in general. Like my diet was pretty healthy, but I think what I did was add a lot more saturated fats and coconut. And I think it was more in my situation.
Do you still eat fibers in food? Do you still get plenty of fiber in your diet?
Oh yeah, I eat lots of vegetables. Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm gonna throw something at you,
sure,
just to provoke some thought, not to change your mind about anything. I'm gonna piece together a couple conversations. So 15 years ago, I had quite a few really interesting conversations with a woman named Leslie Aiello. She was the head of the Wenner-Gren Foundation in Manhattan. Do you know who they are?
Mm.
Wenner-Gren is like they're the top anthropological minds in the world. They come together and they scrutinize everything about our ancestors and our journey. And she told me then that this fascination with fiber was going to cause problems with people because we actually evolved from Australopithecus to who we are today. And every time we reduced the fiber in our diet, our brains got bigger, our muscles got bigger, our guts got smaller. And she said to me then, she says, this fascination with fiber is going to cause problems. Okay, that was 15 years ago. So I'm about to do a panel show about something called auto brewery syndrome, but not just because of the ethanol. I would challenge you for 1 month to remove all fiber from your diet.
It's like not eat vegetables?
No. Who said vegetables are so important to us? Who said it? The FDA, the USDA? Think about it. Throughout our lineage, it was 45,000 years ago that we started to grow stuff, monocrops, so that we would have food all the time. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, when did we eat vegetables? Assuming, depending on what part of the world you lived on, only a few months out of the summer, because the rest of the time they just aren't available.
Yeah.
This nonsense that we're being told by the USDA and the FDA that this is what your plate should look like. That's so that they could get the money out of the subsidized crops that they're paying for. Because if everybody stopped eating vegetables, and there's a lot of evidence of what I'm about to say, and I know there's people out there going to call me an a-hole for this. But magically, I know so many people, including myself, who have had autoimmune issues that when they go carnivore, like chicken, beef, salmon, eggs, very little cheese, their symptoms subside in a couple weeks. When you look at the book that Dr. Grundy wrote about the plant paradox, we have a habit of going too far to the left or too far to the right, and the middle is where we need to be. But he's pointed out all of these horrible plants that we think are healthy that just destroy our bodies slowly. I would challenge you to try and eliminate all fiber from your diet, except the occasional, what's in the berries maybe, but just see what happens over a couple weeks. Because here's the interesting thing that I've learned, okay? Fiber, non-soluble fiber is supposed to be undigestible, but it's not true, because they actually make ethanol with non-soluble fiber by first exposing it to acid. Well, what's the gut have? Acid. Once fiber has been undergoes hydrolysis in an acid bath, now there are microbes, and more importantly, there are fungi that will convert it into ethanol and other things. And so when you start to look at that and you think, oh my God, like when I would eat high fiber, 50 grams in a day, my symptoms were horrible for the next couple of days. I felt like, oh my God. And I kept thinking it was just carbohydrates. And now that I've eliminated fiber, I can tell you, I am starting to see the clouds clear.
So what do you eat?
I just told you, I eat a lot of animal protein. I eat a lot
dairy?
Yeah. I do a little dairy. I like cheese, a little cheese. Yeah. And I'm not, I have broccoli today I have a pound of ground beef, Piedmontese beef. They're a sponsor. It's the best beef in the world, and some broccoli. So it's not like I'm not like a jerk about it. There's a little bit.
You eat broccoli.
Well, but my point is, if you would try to eliminate fiber, I challenge you to, and then come back on this show and tell me what you noticed. But go ahead. Okay. I don't want to derail the conversation.
No problem. I never heard of that. So anyways, I tried different things, and but overall, I would say that the things which improved me the most would be I did fecal implants.
Yeah.
I did 20 of those. That helped me a lot. Then I also have a exercise while on oxygen therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an oxygen concentrator, and I try to do that 15 minutes a day at least. And it basically it's quite a setup. You have a huge what's called a bladder, and it's filled it up with oxygen. You put a mask on and you exercise because the brain needs oxygen. So I think really that made a big difference, saturating my body with oxygen. And my oxygen actually was a little low, below normal. The innervation to my diaphragm wasn't working as well, so my lungs, I'd go as low as 89 oxygen. So now, with this, I'm able to be back in the normal range of 98. That's helped me a lot. I've also taking herbs such as curcumin, essential oils, or turmeric, turmerones, mushrooms like lion's manes help me a lot. And then the other things which have really helped me a lot is there's a compound called rosmarinic acid, and it's a lot of the polyphenols. See, polyphenols are little pigments which are found in berries and different herbs, and they help decrease the inflammation of the neuronal. There's these different cells called the microglia. They're in the brain, and to get an MS attack, there needs to be inflammation of these neuronal cells. Right. And these help calm it down. So things like green tea, drinking a lot of all these every day has helped me a lot. And then the other thing which I've added 3 months ago, which has made a very big difference as far as I can tell, is I've been taking injections of other peptides, not just the Copaxone, but taking injections of peptides of thymosin beta-4. I take 50 cc every 2 days as an injection, an insulin syringe. I get.
Yeah, no, my audience is very well versed on peptides. In fact, I have a twice monthly show called the Pep Talk. We've been talking about peptides on this show since 2006.
Yeah, and I also take a thymosin alpha thymosin injection.
Yeah, thymosin alpha 1, which is a very powerful antiviral also. Yeah.
So I take both of those 3 days a week. So I get these injections. Basically, I got them right here.
Is that one on the right? The green one is from Tailor Made Pharmacy.
The white from that one's from TaylorMade. Yep.
Yeah.
Then I also, I take like fish oils and omega oils, and I also.
Let's talk about that for a second. So, high dose omega-3 has been shown to reverse demyelination in some people. So, it obviously is very important.
Yeah, and it also decreases the chance of getting an attack. And I know some people who've gotten attacks and said that they just take like 5-6 tablespoons at a time when they're getting an attack to decrease the effect of the attack.
Yeah, because of the inflammation. Yeah. Sure.
Then I also, I take vitamin D. You don't need to see that, but vitamin D3. I try to get my levels in the 50,000 above 50. People who have in the equator who have no autoimmune diseases, they're closer to 100, and people. So I take 10,000 a day of that, and I also take rosmarinic acid every day. So between all those things, between the peptides, this and that, I'm it's still a struggle, but I would say I'm doing quite well. I mean, on a good day, I can still do double diamonds skiing. I'm downhill in Killington. So where you're from, where you been? So
you've been there, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. So I on a good day I can still do that. So my gait is pretty normal. But it's still
any paresthesia, any peripheral limb sensations at all?
I have some numbness, but the burning pain is mostly reduced.
Right.
80%.
And any tinnitus, any ringing in the ears?
No.
Okay. All right. So a couple questions. And now, first of all, I got to put this up for the people watching the show who want insights in how to treat your own multiple sclerosis and learn to manage it. You can go to shrnetwork.biz/ms for the book. And the book is called There's No Pill for This: A Naturopathic Physician's Personal Prescription for Managing Multiple Sclerosis. So you can go there. Okay, lots of questions I have. Have you ever had any stool tests to determine the diversity of your gut microbiome?
Yeah, I've done it. Yes, I mean I've done it before and after fecal implants. Yeah, I have done that.
What have you seen? What have you seen? Have you seen certain microbes disappear? Have you seen a preponderance of suspicious microbes before the fecal transplants? What have you noticed?
Yeah, I noticed that there was some more preponderance of like quote unquote bad bacteria, which went away after the fecal implants. And I also noticed that it didn't have enough digestive enzymes. So I took digestive enzymes. So yeah,
we're not talking about hydrochloric acid. We're talking about actual enzymes themselves.
Yes,
lipase and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
So the stool test is one of the things I use to help kind of figure out what pathogenic bacteria there is. I take a lot of berberine and golden seal, which helps with gut flora as well.
So, how is your fasting blood sugar? Do you check it periodically?
I've never checked my fasting blood sugar. I mean, I never had blood sugar quote unquote problems. I mean, I can fast for a long time without.
Okay, so you're very metabolically flexible. Good.
So I've also worked with not eating as having like eating maybe not eating like 14, 16 hours a day.
Time restricted eating. Yeah, fast 16 hours and then eat. What about sleep? How is your sleep? And how was it when your symptoms were the worst?
Well, I've always been a good sleeper in the sense like I fall asleep quickly no matter what. I mean, I've always been a good sleeper, but I do wake up. I do have to wake up. I do have some autonomic symptoms which wakes me up. So I wake up frequently because of mostly autonomic symptoms. So I sweat at night, or also sometimes my heart rate goes too high or too low. And I have to get up at night to pee. Or one of my symptoms of my MS is that my shoulders dislocate a bit. So it's hard to, the innervation around the shoulder gets impacted. So that wakes me up with pain.
Right.
So a lot of MS patients have a hard time sleeping. I'm lucky in the sense I fall asleep really easily. But
you don't stay.
I wake up for this or that reason.
Do you wake up like every night at 2 a.m. and then you just wake up periodically thereafter, or do you it's just random?
I think it's random. I mean, it seems that it depends if I have for my autonomic symptoms, if I sweat, then I have to go. It seems kind of random. But I don't have long periods of being awake. I fall asleep within a few minutes.
Right. But fragmented sleep is still a concern for everybody. We know that. Like fragmented sleep leads to a lot of problems. Heart disease, it's been tied to dementia, Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Dale Bredesen has been on the show a few times over the years, and I'm sure you know who he is, right? The End of Alzheimer's author. And it's really amazing that a lot of these symptoms are shared by multitude of disorders.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and that's why I keep coming back to the autoimmune issues, because it's sweating at night could be an autoimmune issue as well. But anyway, have you ever done a round of LL37?
No.
You know what it is?
No.
Okay, so LL37 is a peptide. It's a human cathelicidin. It is antimicrobial, antifungal. You do very low doses of it, 100 to 150 micrograms a day for 30 or 40 days, and your gut will change for the better. And any fungus, we did shows about LL37, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And I have people in the audience who've emailed me and said it made their toenail fungus go away.
Huh. LL37, which one is it?
LL37 is the name of the peptide.
And
I don't know. It's an antiviral, fungal, and it's also antimicrobial. Mm-hmm. It seems to go after any bad bacteria, whether it's gram positive or gram negative. But I don't know. I don't know if you can get that from TaylorMade. If you can't get that from TaylorMade, let me know, and I'll put you onto a couple sources. I'm actually doing a round right now because my gut has gotten kind of screwed up again. And I haven't done LL37 in a few years. But anyway, okay. So we have to take a break. But before we go into a break, we have a comment from a live viewer in Las Vegas. Brave New Order Film says, cutting out fiber was the best thing for my digestion personally. And more, it's amazing. Red meat is bad. Fat is bad. That was the old mantra in the 70s. And boy, that really screwed us up. And now we realize that fat is not bad. And red meat is definitely not bad. And now the new thing is, more fiber. And, they're selling these pills with, 3 servings of fruit and 3 servings of vegetables in a capsule. And I predict that for as many people who say this stuff is great, the people with autoimmune disorders are going to say, wow, this made my RA got worse. My Hashimoto's got worse, because I'm telling you, you eliminate fiber, you stop eating plants for a while, you go strict carnivore, and I promise you'll see magic happen. And then you'll be a zealot. You'll be a zealot like everybody else. Nobody believes it until I do it.
Did you ever talk to Terry Walls?
Yeah, I've had her on the show twice. I had her on the show when the Walls protocol first came out.
Because she's all about vegetables.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
Yeah.
Look, to each his own. Different things work for different people. And then she was on again for we did a autoimmune roundtable with the 4 really smart people, and they all had different opinions on how to handle this. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more. Stay tuned.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today. When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snacks Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. If there is one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powering over 300 critical reactions, including detoxification, fat metabolism, energy, and even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about a new magnesium product I've been taking now called Magnesium Breakthrough. It's the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best I've ever seen or experienced. With all 7 forms of magnesium, I was able to arrange an amazing deal for my audience, and I guarantee it's the best deal available on this product. Seriously, with volume discounts combined with our custom 10% coupon code SHR10, you can save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. And I promise that this deal is only available on this specific website, magbreakthrough.com/SHR. You won't find that deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. Go to magbreakthrough.com/SHR and use code SHR10 to save up to 40% off select packages of Magnesium Breakthrough. Guys, you've heard about this revolutionary acoustic wave technology that improves your sexual performance. It's been used in Europe for 20 years and has a 90% success rate of reversing symptoms of ED. Even if you're not suffering from ED, it can take you back to peak sexual performance of your younger days. The Phoenix uses powerful sound waves to clear plaque blockage and substantially increase blood flow. It's easy to use, has no side effects, and can be done in the privacy of your own home. Doctors have been charging thousands of dollars for these treatments. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Phoenix and use the code SHR for a special superhuman deal. Regain your sexual prowess today.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Welcome back to Superhuman Radio. We're talking with Dr. Michael Friedman. He's a naturopathic doctor who developed MS and found ways to manage it, which is really important because it can derail your life. So I'm going to put the book up again for those of you just tuning in. The book is called There's No Pill for That. For this, I'm getting everything wrong today. Maybe I have something wrong. Naturopathic physician's personal prescription for managing multiple sclerosis. So let's talk about the sun. The sun stimulates melanocortin stimulating hormone. We can take a synthetic form of that, which is melanotan-2. We can do that intranasal. I use it actually intranasally because it's a nootropic for me. Do you think the sun plays a role in helping people manage multiple sclerosis?
I feel like it does. I mean, I've asked my neurologists that they don't think there's much of a relationship between that. So, I mean, the interesting thing is that people who develop multiple sclerosis, it's usually in cooler and places with less latitude. So, I mean, people in the equator, there's virtually no MS, and people in India, there's virtually no MS. So developing it is clearly, there's a clear relationship between developing it and how much sun someone has, and a relationship between vitamin D3 levels and the relationship between getting MS. But once you have it, the studies aren't as clear. but I would say I always feel better when I see the sun. So I think I've thought about moving out of Vermont just because there's not as much sun out here.
Right.
But I definitely feel like the sun is helpful. I mean, for some people with MS, they have a really hard time with the heat, so it's hard to live where it's warm. But I enjoy the sun, and I feel like the sun makes me feel better.
So a melanocortin stimulating hormone in its concentrated synthetic form, melanotan-2, has been shown to suppress systemic inflammation dramatically. There are 4 melanocortin stimulating hormone receptors on every cell, and each of them, all of them, when they are stimulated, shut off inflammation on a cellular level. And since all autoimmune disorders are driven, if you will, for lack of better reasons, by the army of the immune system, which is inflammation. Anything that could help you balance the inflammatory response to a more healthy response has to be a good tool. And that's why I was asking about that, because like I said, I use intranasal melanotan-2 as a nootropic. I take it in the morning. I'm very dark, so I get darker. I actually just started using it again because I haven't been able to lay out in the sun. I laid out in the sun every day in the summer, but I think there's something to that. That might be another peptide that you can look into and start experimenting with.
No, I know. I think Kent Haltorf. Do you know him?
What's that?
Kent Haltorf. He's an MD. He does a lot about peptides. But he talks about the melanocyte thing. It seems like it makes some people's skin look a little odd, though, right?
Well, if you have a lot of melanin in your skin, because it's 1,000 times stronger than endogenous stimulators. Excuse me a second. It will make freckles get dark. And if you use too much of it, you'll actually start looking purple.
Yeah, that's what I saw one doctor, and I was like, man, you're looking a little purple.
But if you don't use too much of it, it just looks like you're tan. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm getting choked up. Hold on.
Tan. You think Trump takes it?
What's that?
Is that what Donald Trump takes? Because he always looks tanned.
No, I don't. I think he uses spray tan, to be honest with you. Or maybe he has a tanning booth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Be very smart if he did. So, what about caffeine? Do you use coffee?
I do. I think it helps. I feel like it's a nootropic. It helps clear the mind, and it helps with exercise. I think it's very helpful. I think it's important not to take too much of it, but I like taking espresso and going on my exercise machine in the morning, and with no breakfast.
What if you learned that coffee was not good for you? What would you do?
If I learned it wasn't good for me, what would I do? Well, I mean, I never really started taking it until a couple of years ago when I started feeling it helped me.
So you already developed these problems way before that.
Yeah. Well, what's your opinion on coffee?
I'm playing around with it right now.
Yeah.
I've stopped all caffeine.
Yeah.
I have. I mean, it screws with autonomic response. It screws with your sleep. I mean, I track my sleep 3 different ways, and once I stopped using caffeine, I spent a lot longer time in deep sleep every night. A lot less restless.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
I also take, and I would tell you to try this. Take 3 grams. Take 3 grams of glycine before bed.
Mm-hmm.
So glycine will increase brain GABA better than taking GABA. And when you take GABA, some people get stimulated by taking GABA, but no one ever gets stimulated by taking glycine. There's 2 reasons why glycine helps sleep. I have more people on this show who tell me that the glycine trick I talked about years ago changed their sleep. Glycine not only increases brain GABA, but it's the most glucogenic amino acid. And so if you are having blood sugar swings in the middle of the night, which could precipitate sweating, by the way, the earliest signs of hypoglycemia are anxiety and sweating.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you take 3 to 5 grams of GABA right at bedtime,
GABA or glycine?
I mean, not glycine, I'm sorry. If you take 3 to 5 grams of glycine right at bedtime, you'll have the same sleepy effects of GABA. You'll fall asleep, but you'll stay asleep longer. Now, you may not stay asleep all night, you know,
like melatonin.
And I take melatonin also. I've been taking melatonin for 25 years. But if you take glycine and melatonin at bed, you may see longer periods of time before you wake up that first time.
Yeah. That's
Really
good.
good.
And also valerian also is a good herb for that.
I don't do good with benzos, and so I don't do good with valerian. Benzos make me groggy, they make me forgetful, and they impact my ability to train at the gym. I am notably weaker after taking because I would take 1/4 milligram of Ativan, which is, most would say that's nothing for sleep.
Yeah.
And it would help me sleep. There's no doubt about it. But the next morning, I couldn't go to the gym and train because I felt like I was ready to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and valerian root does the same thing to me. But yeah, just actually my pre-bedtime that works for me constantly is
a whiskey.
No, alcohol ruins your sleep. Alcohol destroys your sleep. Because it affects adenosine accumulation in the brain. Yeah. And so you fall asleep, but then when it wears off, you don't have enough adenosine in your brain to keep you asleep. No, but my stack is 45 IUs of oxytocin, 3 milligrams of melatonin.
Or you take oxytocin before you go to bed?
Well, I take oxytocin a couple times a day, actually.
Okay, yeah.
I'll send you a link to a show I just did on Friday. Oxytocin's magic for a lot of reasons. But anyway,
I know Dr. Fletcher talks a lot about that.
What's that?
Dr. Fletcher, do you know him?
No.
He's a big oxytocin user.
Well, oxytocin builds muscle. I take it at night to sleep better. I get more sleep with oxytocin than without it. 3 milligrams of melatonin, 3 grams of GABA, and about 150 milligrams of magnesium. And I sleep perfectly every night. If I remove the oxytocin, I don't get as much deep sleep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But oxytocin works. But eliminating caffeine from my diet changed sleep architecture dramatically. In fact, if I have a cup of coffee, once in a while I'll have a cup. I like a double espresso with a splash of cream.
Yeah.
That night, I see my sleep change. It looks like the Alps, all these little peaks where I'm waking up and waking up and waking up.
How do you measure it? Do you use an app for sleep?
Do it with an app? Yeah, I use 3 things actually. So I use an Oura Ring. I use an app called Sleep Cycle because it records the sounds you make while you're sleeping. Mm-hmm. So you can see if you're snoring, if you're restlessness and all that sort of stuff. And then twice a month I use a ring called the Sleep On Ring, which is literally a sleep study on your finger. It does pulse ox. It does heart rate variability, restlessness levels. It measures all the 4 levels of deep sleep. It measures all the different levels of sleep.
Yeah,
it's fascinating. It's a great ring. We did a show about it a couple of years ago, and a bunch of people in the audience grabbed it. And some of them emailed me right away, and they said that they fixed their sleep because they would make adjustments and they would look at the ring data and they go, I got better sleep last night. I'm going to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use 3 different things.
Yeah. Good sleep is important. Absolutely.
It's the most important.
Yeah.
2 nights of bad sleep and your body doesn't manage blood sugar like it's supposed to anymore. I mean, we've seen the studies on that, and it's legit. It's real. But yeah, I eliminated caffeine, and I'm happier that I eliminated caffeine. I feel better. My gut was distended. It's actually going down now it's a slow process. If you've been drinking coffee or using caffeine for years, you can't expect to just stop and magically in 2 weeks feel all better again.
Yeah.
It takes months to start to really see the changes physically and mentally, but it's so worth it. When you look at the masses of the population, they all have the same problems. They have gut problems. They have sleep problems. Most of them have some form of autoimmunity, but they take a pill to mask the symptoms. But when you look at them, they all drink coffee and big coffees, you know, a 20-ounce mochalatto, you know, with 3 shots of espresso and all the sugar and the crap. And then they wonder why their guts are all messed up. And they all drink them on empty stomachs. You just said that because the caffeine hits you faster. So they get right out of bed, they get dressed, they have no time for a breakfast, or, you know, if you're time restricted fasting, that's fine. You're going to eat later, but they survive on. They throw that stuff down and it gets into and it destroys the mucosal lining of the stomach. You know, I can send you 7 studies that show that caffeine, and even more so coffee, raise CRP dramatically, C-reactive protein. In fact, caffeine raises CRP, and the reason coffee raises it even more is not only does it stimulate the inflammatory response to create CRP, but it reduces the receptors in the liver to get the CRP out. So you have a double whammy when it's coffee over just plain old caffeine. And if you know, I'm really like I'm trying not to do things that purposefully raise inflammation in my body. You know, I take a lot of fish oil, I eat a lot of fish, I stay away from things that I know cause inflammation, like flours. You know, I don't care. I mean, almond flour is not bad, but any grain flour, any starchy flour, stay away from it, because I did a show 7 years ago that shows that acellular carbohydrates are digested. They feed the bad bacteria in the gut, and that just produces inflammation. So I try to do things that keep me away from inflammation. And coffee is really paying off now. It's probably been about 3 months now. 3 months of no coffee, no caffeine.
Yeah, one second. Let me turn this off. Sorry about that. All right.
So we're actually going to take a break. When we come back from the break, I want to talk to you about sex hormones. I want to talk to you about, because I have a feeling that you look at hormones as their role in the susceptibility to develop MS.
Okay, sounds good.
On the other side of the break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more.
Bye.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Guys, you've heard about this revolutionary acoustic wave technology that improves your sexual performance. It's been used in Europe for 20 years and has a 90% success rate of reversing symptoms of ED. Even if you're not suffering from ED, it can take you back to peak sexual performance of your younger days. The Phoenix uses powerful sound waves to clear plaque blockage and substantially increase blood flow. It's easy to use, has no side effects, and can be done in the privacy of your own home. Doctors have been charging thousands of dollars for these treatments. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Phoenix and use the code SHR for a special special superhuman deal. Regain your sexual prowess today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000. Or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Welcome back. We're talking with Dr. Michael Friedman about his new book, actually, and some of the stuff that's in the new book. For those of you who have MS or know someone who has MS, this book can help you manage it so at least you can live your life. The book is called There's No Pill for This, a naturopathic physician's personal prescription for managing multiple sclerosis. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/MS, you'll be taken right to the book. So what about sex steroids? Most notably estrogen, because it does have an anti-inflammatory effect. But then again, testosterone for men, what do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of steroids which have an impact on MS. There's cortisol, there's progesterone, there's estriol, there's testosterone, and even in regular medicine they'll be using steroids. Like, so if someone has an attack, they'll give you IV steroids in the form of synthetic steroids like
but those are corticosteroids.
Yep.
Those are not anabolic in nature. Those are actually catabolic in nature, right? So I think that the anabolic type steroids, which includes estrogen is very anabolic. People don't realize that.
They do help. I'm saying they give you immediate relief. You go to the hospital, you can't walk, you can walk, so it has a big impact, these steroids. But there's also the one thing which I think is interesting, that in studies that people who have low levels of cortisol, it makes you more prone to getting MS in itself. So making sure someone has normal levels of cortisol, and a lot of people do have low levels of cortisol, from being chronically stressed or whatever. So I think I recommend giving like hydrocortisone, like bioidentical hydrocortisone, like you can get it brand name Cortef or whatever, but small amount, 10 milligrams in the morning, 5 milligrams in the morning for people who are low in it. I do a saliva testing to see if they're low in it. Testosterone is interesting because it's shown that it helps with the cognitive effects of MS in men. And it also not only is shown to help with the cognitive effects of men, but giving supplemental testosterone in men has also shown that it decreases the rate of progression of MS. So testosterone has a promising role in decreasing the progression of MS as well. Estriol there's a current study right now with the National Institute of Health and Estriol in MS, because it's shown to help decrease the progression and also help with cognitive symptoms along with MS. And it also is shown to increase remyelination. So
estriol, not estriol. Wow, that's amazing.
Estriol has shown that. So there's a study right now for estriol and remyelination in MS currently going on right now. The results will be available, I think, in April 2021. So that'll be interesting to see what that study shows. And then progesterone is also helpful for remyelination. So, there is a hormonal impact, and taking these are helpful. And it's interesting that, women, it's 5 times more pronounced in women. MS is 5 times more likely in women than men for MS, but it's more serious in men to have MS. And women women are 5 times more prone to getting MS. But the interesting thing is that women also go usually in remission when they go pregnant. So so that's why a lot of the doctors are also trying to give people some estradiol and progesterone, and just to help with it. It was recommended for me to take estradiol and progesterone, but I just didn't want boobs. So
no, progesterone. I mean, I've played with 25 milligrams of progesterone at bed. It definitely makes you sleep better. It can. Some men, it can make them feel melancholy and moody. But men have progesterone. We have pregnenolone.
Yeah.
We have DHEA. You know, when people say, oh, well, male hormones and female hormones, that's the stupidest thing you can say, because men and women all have the same hormones. They're just different levels. Women have testosterone. They may not have 1,100 nanograms or 600 nanograms, but they could have as high as 200 nanograms. Some women who tend to be more athletic. Pregnenolone, I would have thought would have been a big push for you, because pregnenolone is so highly concentrated in the brain. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I mean, there's so many hormones. There's neurohormones, and pregnenolone. I take pregnenolone every day as well.
Do you take it at night or in the morning?
I take it in the morning, but I just take it in the morning, but it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because I've often wondered if pregnenolone can actually stimulate you if you take it at night. Yeah,
I take it in the morning along with DHEA.
And you take it with a fatty meal?
I just take it for breakfast. I don't really take. I mean, I would say the absorption is probably a little higher in the fat.
Oh, wait! If you take it with fat, it's much higher, the absorption. Yeah. You do blood tests before taking it on an empty stomach or with a cup of coffee. Well, now if you have some cream in your coffee, that'll help.
Yeah,
it stimulates that whole lymphatic absorption.
Yeah,
but you take it with and without, it's noticeable. Same thing with vitamin D, vitamin A. I know people. Oh, I take 10,000. I use
vitamin D a day. Yeah,
a day, and my vitamin D levels are low. And then I just say, well, do you take it with a fatty meal? No, I just take it on an empty stomach. And they take it on a fatty meal, and all of a sudden they're in the 80 nanogram. It's like, oh wow, it went up so fast. Yeah, if you don't stimulate the ability to absorb fat, then the fat soluble.
That makes sense, Carl.
Yeah. So, what do you tell people who have MS today that feel hopeless?
Well, I acknowledge it's a very hard illness, and first of all, it is hard. So, but I think there are a lot of things you can do, which can help, which regular medicine doesn't talk about. And I think it's important to try those things. And for me, I got to say, exercising with oxygen, all those things together, you're going to feel a lot better. So, I mean, one of my MS neurologists did ask me once, after looking at my MRI for 5 years, he said, can you tell me what you're doing? Because drugs can't explain what I see in the MRI and how well you're doing. You haven't progressed much. So I think it is a very valuable thing. And the reason I wrote "There's no pill for this" was because there's not one pill you just take and it's gone. You have to manage it. You got to take a cocktail of stuff. You got to have a regimen. You got to manage it. There's not just one pill for it, and there are drugs for it, but there's no drug which cures it. It's not like you have diabetes and you take insulin. There is nothing like that.
Well, and insulin doesn't cure diabetes. They could cure diabetes, but insulin doesn't cure diabetes. Nor does glucophage.
No, but I mean, for type 1, it is like a treatment, and you can have a fairly normal life.
Type 1 is different. Type 1 is different. Yeah. You're not even producing insulin. It'll save your life. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what I was talking about. Type 1. That's another example. Bad example.
Yeah. No. Because nowadays when you say diabetes, you have to specify.
Yeah, totally.
Type 1, type 2, or type 3, which is diabetes localized in the brain, insulin resistance in the brain. Yeah. So I think that the medical orthodoxy and the premise of Big Pharma that there's a pill for something is insulting to the complexity of the human body. And sadly, most people are not advocates for their own health. They're not reading things, or if they are getting information, it's from the wrong sources. And so they think that there's actually a pill that will cure something. And the only thing that will cure something is to discover and remove the insult first. You can't bail the boat until you plug the hole.
Yeah.
And then once you've discovered what the insult is for you, and a lot of times it's diet. People can't believe it. Your doctor will tell you, oh, the food has no role in this disease. I don't know whether to hate them for that or feel sorry for their ignorance. But once you remove the insult, then what you need to do is do things that stimulate regrowth. And a big fascination of mine, and one of the reasons I like oxytocin, is I like things that have an ability to switch on neonatal genes, because those are the genes that built the organ. They have the blueprint for that organ. And you want to turn those on when you're trying to fix that organ, assuming the insult has been removed. If the insult is still there and you're doing this, the net is going to be zero. Maybe you won't progress, but you're not going to get better. But when you remove the insult and you start using therapies like you're talking about, peptides, which are basically cellular messages telling them to fix stuff, and you start switching back on neonatal gene sets, now you can actually reverse disease states. We've seen it in people. And then science always goes, well, it's anecdotal, N equals 1. They ignore it. Instead, they should be saying, let's see what that person did. Instead, they discount it. They say, oh, N equals 1. That's really that's one person. He got lucky. No, it's very sad. It really is, because there's hope for every disease. The truth is, if you can identify the insult and remove it first, there's hope for every disease. I've been through it. I was supposed to have a pacemaker at 39, and instead, I ended up becoming a power lifter. So, we're going to give the plug to the book one more time. If you are interested, you can go to shrnetwork.biz/ms. The book is There's No Pill for This, a naturopathic physician's personal prescription for managing multiple sclerosis. And the more you read, if you buy this book and you get one tip out of it, it was worth it. One. The book doesn't have to change your life, but just one thing you learn in the book needs to be a quiver an arrow in your quiver. That's it. Talk about, before we go to the next break, because I'm going to let you go, restorativemedicine.org. What is it? What do they do? This is your foundation.
It's a medical association. We have 500 physicians. It's an organization I started about 10 years ago, and we have it's a leader of cross-disciplinary collaboration between medical doctors and naturopathic doctors, and we put on different conferences, about 3 conferences a year, and it's for any medical professional who wants to learn more about peptides, hormones, bioidentical hormones, nutrition, herbal medicine, etc. So it's going quite well. So
good. So check it out if you're a physician. I know we have a lot of clinicians that watch the show. Restorativemedicine.org. And that's good. Good stuff. Okay, Dr. Friedman, thank you so much for being here.
All right. Thanks, Carl. Cheers.
Take care. Try some of those things and let me know. See if you cut fiber. Would you notice? Okay.
All right.
All right. Take care. That's it for today. I don't have any more commercials to run, so that's a wonderful thing. And I can just say goodbye now. I'm off the air tomorrow for Election Day. I'm just taking off. Rob wanted to take off for Election Day. Let me get that thing out from in front of my face. And so we're going to take off tomorrow. We'll be back Wednesday. We have an episode this week, I believe, of Fathers and Sons, and Aaron Singerman is going to be on. So that's going to be fascinating, because he has very, very strong opinions about being a parent, and I think some of them are really spot on. So that's it for today. Thanks for being here. We'll see everybody Wednesday. Don't forget, if you haven't voted yet, get up and vote. Don't whine and complain. Get up and vote. Don't say to yourself, oh, my one vote doesn't count. It absolutely counts, because too many people think that. So get out early tomorrow morning and vote. It's your civic duty. It's your superhuman duty. All right. We'll see you Wednesday.